Okay. Good afternoon, people of the jury. Me and my partner Nikayla are defending Jonas in this case. My client Jonas is innocent. In all of our cases we have defended, we have proved that our client was innocent. So I hope, matter of fact, I know that it will be the same for this case because he is innocent. Jonas is a very lovable, young, fun child that the community loves. Yes, Jonas had made mistakes, but who hasn't? So by the end of this case, we hope that you will find our client innocent. That's all I got.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I am Uriel Brito, and this is Evelyn Marin. And I'm here today to talk about my client, Rosemary, who is innocent. And there's conspiracy going on that she is not innocent, that she is the guiltiest out of all the parties we have. Rosemary is 12 years old, is a very bright and loving girl, but Rosemary did release herself, which gave the memories to the community. But she did not do that on purpose because people. Am I saying it right? Okay, so because she was given memories not like painful. She never received painful memories. She was only receiving internal pain, which means she was getting pain from the inside, which is sadness, loneliness, which those can develop into depression. We all know if someone who cannot handle depression would start having suicidal thoughts. So, suicide, release, we all know is now is death. So, that now she wanted an escape, not for people to, the community to experience her pain. So, thank you all for here today to talk about, for listening. We will be back. Have a great day.
My client, known only as the Giver, and I, Jake McCarthy, and my equally important partner, Devin Jordan, will give you the evidence you need for this old man rights as a citizen of this community and come to a conclusion of innocent, which is indeed the case. First, we need to talk about what this poor old man can be accused of, and then we'll talk about the absolutely insane conclusions my opponents will jump to. My client, the Giver, was accused of 3 counts of manslaughter. Notice how I say manslaughter and not murder. The definition of murder is as follows: the unlawful premeditated killing of one human being by another. This wasn't a premeditated offense in the slightest. The only thing that was ever premeditated was the plan that Jonas followed in the first place. Speaking of Jonas, we don't even know if he's dead, which means that if the Giver was to be announced as guilty, it wouldn't be murder. But you and I know that the Giver cannot be guilty in this sense because none of these murders can be linked to him in the way that other murder cases can be linked to, and which is why I think that you as the jury, everyone as the jury, will come to a sensible, wholehearted um, decision as innocent for the Giver.
Good afternoon to all the people of the jury. Today I am here to portray a serious thought of defense with my intellectual partner Jake McCarthy. To begin, the Giver transported all of the memories to Jonas staying with his job. The Giver gives out the memories multiple times. For example, towards the middle of the book, the Giver gave Jonas the memory of war, which was not at all a fun or exciting memory to get, as to receiving the memory of color, which Jonas was given. Throughout all of this, the Giver was never entitled to release any of these to Jonas or even anybody in general. Towards the end of chapter 10 to 11, the Giver tells Jonas, "I will give you a memory. This was the memory of the snow in the sled." The Giver quotes from the book, It's just that without memories, it's all meaningless. So my point proves today that if life without the memory is useless, then why would my client, the giver, want to get rid of them in the first place? On the other hand, I feel as if anybody should be getting attacked in this scenario, it should be Rosemary. Rosemary played a pretty important role in the book as the failed receiver. Yes, failed receiver. I feel as if Rosemary pleads guilty in this because it can't be my client or Jonas. In Jonas's defense, somewhat, my client told Jonas in the book, if you were to be lost in the river, Jonas, your memories would not be lost with you. Memories are forever, which proves that Jonas cannot plead guilty in that topic. However, Rosemary is called the failed receiver for a reason. She had failed to receive every single memory that she was given. Overall, Rosemary pleads guilty in my opinion because if she cannot handle even receiving the memories, what makes it right for anybody in this jury to think that Rosemary would not just go and she released all of the memories that she couldn't even handle?
You stated that my client was a failure. And yes, that is true. My client is a failure. But whose job is to teach Rosemary, who is the receiver, to give him whose job is to give her memories? Whose job was to give her these whose what job was to do his right job? The giver didn't do his job right. Because we all know that Rosemary is the daughter of the giver. And it's stated that the giver did not want to give her pain, because he loved her. And the fact that is that you are a parent. If you were a parent, would you give your child pain? You don't want that. You want to give your child love. You don't want to give them pain because you want them to have a better life than you have. But now knowing that you have the most like terrible job because people think it being the giver is an honor because they don't know the truth behind what the giver really is because they don't have the memories of that. They don't have emotion. They don't understand it. That is why the giver is the giver because he was chosen by the other giver because the giver can only select the receiver. And now the fact that the new receiver was Rosemary, knowing that this is his daughter and cannot give her the proper treatment. Like he didn't do his job right. He was supposed to give her pain. He could not give her pain. He only gave her was emotional, not physical. And yes, the fact that she was the failure. I'm sorry for taking too much time against you. I'm now looking at the time. So, Jonas, here you go. Oh wait, no, Devin.
Yes, you did say that a parent would only want to give their child love, and that is true. I am not a parent, I would not know. However, I know that my mother would only want to give me the best of stuff. However, I feel like you don't understand, and I hopefully the jury understands that it's the giver's job to do this. And you said it himself, it's a pretty bad job. But the thing about this community is that it's pretty strict with its rules. And when I say that, I mean that you can't just change your job, or at least it's a pretty hard thing, especially if you're the giver of memories or the receiver of memories in the case with the giver. I mean, no, the giver of memories. And with the giver, it just so happened that his daughter became the receiver of memories. So as a parent, he was probably very sad because he knew that he would have to give his child really bad memories. But he had to do it. There's nothing that he can do to stop her from getting those memories. So his rationale, my client's rationale was, okay, so maybe if we get this all over with, we'll be able to go through all the good stuff and she'll be fine. And however, you might think that rationale is a bit wrong. However, I feel that it's kind of like getting a shot in the sense where like you don't want the pain to be like more of a sore feeling throughout like a day. You want it to be a sharp pain, but for like a couple seconds. And so, the thing about Rosemary is that we don't know if she had any sort of mental disorder. We do not have any proof. We cannot deny nor prove or accept the fact that she might or may not have a mental disorder. And so, I mean, legally, she's fine. So, I feel that rationale, thinking that this was all depression. Maybe it was her feeling sad, but I don't think it was depression. I think it was just her being not as strong as she could have been.
If she did had a mental disability, as you stated, she wouldn't be in there because, as we know, the community, if a child is not suited to be in the community, they would have to release them. So that I'm just wondering what made you get the idea of mental disorder?
All right. Currently running out of time. I just wanted to say something before I hand it off to Jonas. I noticed like you're defending Rosemary, but I noticed that nobody really talks about and realizes the fact that Rosemary is called the failed receiver for a reason. Going on off of what Jake portrayed, nobody realizes that Rosemary was not a strong person. We all know that. No matter if you're defending her, accusing her, no matter what, we know that Rosemary was weak. So because she was weak, and we know that the giver has quoted to Jonah so many things about life and the memories, and that life without the memories to the giver is nothing. What makes you think that the Rosemary would not want to release the memories? If she is a weak person, she can't even hold them. If you can't hold the memories, then they can't stay with her. Rosemary was too weak to the point where she can't even hold them, and I just think that nobody really realizes how much like she is the failed receiver for a reason. She did not hold the memories in the right way. No matter if she was strong, weak, no matter what the giver did, Rosemary did not portray the memories in the right fashion.
Okay, so Rosemary did not know that if she, I guess, killed herself, she would like let go of the memories into the community. So like how would she know? How would she know that letting the memories into the community meant to kill herself? She didn't have any rules about not releasing herself.
I find that kind of odd because after that happened, there was a specific rule made that you are not able to release yourself. Therefore, you'd have to endure that pain. And I feel like people knowing that rule existed, that would kind of help people be stronger, which is why Jonas did not fail, because he didn't have that option to like release himself.
Rosemary was selected to be the next receiver, and she threw it all away like it was nothing. And when she died, the giver was the one who came up with the plan so that Jonas can escape and release the memories. So the giver was the one who planned all of this, and he's the most guiltiest.
Okay. So we think that the giver is the giver is the most guilty of us all because he's the one who planted it in her head, like my partner has said. He would have never have thought to like release himself and like go out on a spree if it wasn't for the giver who planned it with him. And Jonas being a child, he knows right from wrong, but he's still a child. Like has to learn stuff. The giver, he's really old and he knows everything. So why would he do that if he didn't want him to die or whatever? So yeah.
Thank you very much, Gamora, for saying that. That was very helpful. As you stated, yes, these are children. Do not forget about that. These are 12-year-olds. Like, would you expect a 12-year-old to automatically get it like that? Like, oh, this is your job, do it like that. Would you expect that to happen? These are 12-year-olds. You gotta give them proper training. The giver did give proper training to Jonas because he wasn't the failed one. Yes, Rosemary is the failed one. There's a reason why she was called the failed one because she released it. Yeah, that was the failed one. as you stated, yes, there's a reason why she was the failed one. But if the giver